Welcome to our new season, Trade Secrets.
We're handing the microphone to the people who actually build, wire, plumb and finish our homes.
And we're asking them, what are the top 5 things that every home renovator should know?
The mistakes to avoid, the money worth spending, and tips to make every renovation run a little more smoothly.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
We've heard from a lot of different people over the past few weeks, and we're coming towards the end of July. It's coming into summer holidays. We're going to be taking a break, listener, for August because we have lots of things on. Although we will be reposting some of our older, most popular episodes around the renovation process and choosing your kitchen, etc. So if you haven't heard those already, then stay tuned. But for today, we're just going to do a little wrap up of everything we've heard, all the kind of best tips, of which there have been many from all of the various experts that we spoke to.
Insightful, I would say.
Big time. This is the stuff that's going to make your life so much easier if you are renovating. And then we'll talk to each other. As the renovator, as you are a multiple time home renovator, we'll talk to each other about what we think are our best tips for each of them.
And I think both of us have interesting viewpoints, right? Because we both renovated our own house or whatever, 2 houses. And then we have the perspective from the outside at looking at what other people's behaviours have been. So I've seen the mistakes I've made myself, but also the mistakes maybe other people have made. And I've definitely learned from those. I'd say by my 5th renovation, I'll have it perfect.
Yeah. Well, let's see, because next one will be number 4. I think it's looking pretty perfect now, so, you know.
Still, if I can get a joiner to come and finish,
oh, good luck.
Happy.
Good luck.
Yeah, I was told yesterday it was like the new year for joinery. For one
that's not bad to hear at the end of July. Like, that's only 5 months away. As timelines go, at least they said they're going to come back to you.
Sick. Anyway.
I think maybe, actually, there's one piece of advice, and that is, get a trade, you know, become a builder or a joiner yourself, do your own house, and then that's the only way you're going to get this done.
So should we look back on the questions we asked all the experts and maybe give our view on those questions too? Or maybe our view on some of the answers we got back as well, on which ones were really home truths for us, I think.
Yeah, and a bit eye-opening. So the first one?
You need to plan this earlier than you think.
Things you need to plan earlier than you think in a renovation.
Kind of everything. But also, I think there's a kind of 2 sides to this coin. I think, like, yes, you have to have a lot of things decided earlier, but not everything. You know, you need to know some technical details about decisions, but not the full decision. Your builder does not care what your tiles look like. They care what thickness the tiles are when they're pouring the concrete. They don't care if you're going, you know, wood floor or whatever else. They just want the thickness of that floor when they're pouring the concrete. So, like, I think the cosmetic decisions down the line can wait. You need to have preliminary technical answers for builders. So that's what I'd say, plan earlier than you think. You don't decide the tile, but know you're going for a standard 18mm thick tile. Or if you're going for a natural stone, it might be a thicker tile, it might be a 20 or even a 25mm tile. So just knowing those, I think, knowing those technical details as soon as you can is better. And get your windows and doors locked in as soon as you can, because they are such a big part of everything coming together, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's not even necessarily one thing that's part of a renovation that you have to plan earlier than you think. I think it's familiarizing yourself as much as you can. You don't have to become an expert or a project manager necessarily, but it's familiarizing yourself with what's ahead, understanding what are the big decisions ahead of you. And if you've listened to our podcast, you'll know that that is the kitchen, your mechanical and electrical layout, the materials, as you said, of the floor thickness, etc., what might work with underfloor heating, what might not, the materials, etc., of your windows. And the reason that you have to plan all this earlier than you think is because if you don't, number one, you end up making expensive mistakes because you are not equipping yourself with enough information to make a choice that is best for you in the long term, because many right options. And number 2 is that you will hold things up because you are going to get flooded and overwhelmed with decisions to be made about things that you've just never heard of before. Because, you know, if you haven't renovated a house before, there's lots of things that you just won't know, because how could you? Because you've never done it before. So it's looking ahead and planning ahead And you're so right. You can choose, although I was looking at Roisin Lafferty's Instagram the other day and she goes, actually, colour should be one of the first things you choose because it sets the whole tone and the whole mood. And I do agree with that as well. There's something to be said for it, but I know that's very high end though. Like that is, if you're creating art like she does in the houses, then that's true. But I guess all to say, don't get distracted by finishes and deciding, what colour, what couch, what, etc. Know what is happening, understand the process, understand the decisions that are going to be required of you and why, and get ready to make those.
Yeah. And you mentioned there like the electrical and mechanical plans, and a lot of people get very overwhelmed when, especially like those mechanical electrical plans, especially the electrical maybe, are put in front of them because there's so many micro decisions like wall lights, pendant lights, spotlights. And it's why we see 20 spotlights in a row in houses, because people are like, I don't know what to do here. But like at that stage of like when the builder and electrician are asking you, how many sockets, how many lights, what lights, they don't care what fitting you have yet. Just say, I want a pendant over the dining space. I want a pendant over the island. I want wall lights over my kitchen shelf. And then a few down lights if you need them. But like the actual fitting can be decided so much later. That doesn't need to come until second fix. So like you have months then in between. You just need to know the type of light fitting. So like just knowing the technical answers they need, but not the end products yet, I guess, would be the thing I'd plan early.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Give yourself a break.
Give yourself a break. It gets hard, guys. We know.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the second
Spend more
question?
money on.
Spend more money.
I'll tell you where I spend more money on.
So many.
Everything. No. I'd spend more money on, we say it all the time, the stuff that's hard to change, the stuff that goes in behind walls, the stuff that goes under your floors, and the things that are hard to change, like, flooring, tiles, that you'd have to rip out kitchens to change. I'd spend more money on those things that require plaster to be redone or floors to be ripped up to change. They're the things I'd spend more money on.
I would go, so I fully 100% agree with you. I'm going to add in a different one that we haven't spoken about before, but I would go so far as to say spend more money on the professionals that are doing this work for you. Now, this isn't to say, this is kind of like saying, buy quality clothes so that they last, etc. That doesn't necessarily mean go straight into Brown Thomas and buy all your pants there, because money doesn't necessarily mean quality. But I would certainly not cheap out on my builder or my plumber. Now, I mean, do we even have a choice at this stage? Because they're coming. You get who you get. Like, it's not like we have a choice. But I would invest in those professional services if I could, because I think if you have the budget to do so, it's certainly not an area I would cheap out on, because you will end up, I just see a lot of people who, for whatever reason, we're like, well, no, we'll go with this guy. He seems, the quote was cheaper. And then things are just not quite finished, or the delay ended up costing more in rent, or things were not quite connected properly with electricals, etc. And like the heartache, and I do think the long-term money that you save by getting the job done right up front is so worth it. So I'd invest in the contractor. I'd invest in, if you're working with an architect, finding the right one, a really good one. And they might not be the most expensive. It's just, it's what I would spend more money on.
Yeah, I agree. So we're kind of saying spend on the skeleton of your house.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, because that's true. Those are the things that are hard to change. Those are the people that impact all the things that are very hard to change. So that is
everything that's going in behind the walls or under your floor.
So aligned.
And then on the flip side of that, don't waste money on. I'll tell you one thing that both of us won't waste money on: vanities, bathroom vanities.
Bathroom vanities.
A racket.
I'm going to throw bedside lockers into that racket as well, because that's another con job. My God.
Yeah.
Just
put go out to Home Sense. They've lovely ones out there. But I think I would never waste money on furniture if I didn't have the budget for it. That can come later. Like thrift, take a free one on adverts for a while until you built back up a budget to buy exactly the dream one. And I think sometimes people are like, every single furniture item has to be bought and they all have 12-week lead time, so I have to order them now. You don't. Like, you can live with one sofa for a while, and I think you'll get a bit better sense of like the layout you might want for things and the piece of furniture you kind of need for a space. And I think you find nicer things when you're kind of thrifting and whatever anyway, do you know?
And it gives you time. I'm going to agree and expand on your point there by saying don't waste money on buying everything to a deadline because you don't need to
Mm,
hit a deadline unless there's a
yeah,
camera crew coming to your house. Like,
yeah,
even if you say guests coming for Christmas or whatever, I think we all put this massive pressure on ourselves to be like, is the house, and it's like, you know, it's like life. Like you're in a relationship, are you getting engaged? When you get married, do you have a child?
yeah.
Are you having a second child? Are you having a third child? You got three kids, you got three girls, you having a boy? Do you know, like there's a lot of social pressure to just be like, when is the next hurdle being finishing? So if you're doing a house and you're talking about it, people will ask and they're like, is it ready? When are you in? Have you moved in?
Yeah,
It's grand to be in there
it's
for
grand.
a year or more and not have picked, a lot of your stuff yet,
Yeah,
because it will come together long term, and then you'll save. Like I know I've wasted money on being like, I'll just get this thing, it's fine. I just want to have something in there, and it's not fine. And then I ended up throwing it away in the end and just getting
mm,
something else. You know?
yeah. Just wait a while. The only
Yeah.
other thing that would add to that, don't waste money on lighting. No, I know you love
Oh,
lighting.
how dare
That's not
you?
what I mean. No, what I mean is lighting is something that can be reasonably easily changed down the line as well. So I
True.
sometimes say to people, because sometimes you need 50 plus light fittings in a house, when you add them all up, like all the pendants and spots and everything, and people are like, that's so many lights, and lights are hundreds a piece. Like, how the hell do I budget for this? I always say to people, do you know the little ceramic or kind of like plaster kind of uplighters,
Yeah.
wall lights? You know, those kind of basic ones are like 20, 30 quid a pop. They'll look perfect. They'll be painted into the walls. Just put them up for now. In a year time, if you want to change them out for something fancy or some other brand or a different pendant, it's reasonably easy to change those things. They're all outside that skeleton we're talking about. So like,
Yes.
while I love really nice light fittings, not everyone has the budget to put all the nice ones in at the very outset, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Totally. And with, if you do see something you love with that time, maybe you keep an eye on it and it comes up in a sale or you see it secondhand or
Yeah,
something. Or you love the
exactly.
plastered in thing that you didn't expect to.
Yeah.
Because we get caught
Sometimes.
up in a rush, don't we, too? Of been like,
Mm,
you're in the thick of it and then you get familiar with what the good brands are and what the nice decor is and blah, 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 blah. But actually a year down the line, that might not be your core interest anymore. And you might,
exactly.
so yeah, that's a really good point, I think.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, number 4 is do this to make the bill go smoothly. Like we both say it all the time. Communicate. That's all you need to do.
Communicate. Communicate. Be
Communicate.
direct.
Yeah.
Stop
And be
backing
fast.
around. Don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Tell the person who's doing the job what you want and why and when. Ask them what they need from you. Communicate and
And
document everything.
our trade said that as well when they answered. A lot of them said, do it to run smoothly. Tell us, communicate. As soon as you know something has changed or whatever, tell us. And I think
Yeah.
like we can be reluctant to do it because we feel like we've made a mistake or something has changed and I'm going to cause hassle. You'll cause more hassle by not telling them. So just communicate soon, communicate effectively, and communicate purposefully. Yeah, that's
That's it.
what I would do.
The key to life, really,
Um,
isn't it? Good communication.
easier
Only
said
it was
than
this
done.
easy.
Easier said than done sometimes. Sometimes you just don't fucking feel like talking to people.
Sometimes you
No.
don't. Sometimes it's just want to go, not talk
Yeah.
for a day. And that's good communication too. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. The last question was,
The biggest mistake homeowners make. I kind of go back to one of the earlier ones of trying to do too much too soon, trying to have all the answers up front. And I think people get so bogged down and so flustered when all of those things come at once. Whereas I
yeah,
feel like if they just know, the mistake they make is probably asking the builder, what do you need from me? What technical information do you need from me and by when? So
yeah,
asking the builder for those few key milestones, when's the concrete being poured, when is first fix starting, and then you can have those answers that he or they need by then.
yeah. That is totally true. I totally agree with that. My one, I think my biggest mistake is uh, having all these ideas, plans, pictures, things that you want, shopping list that are not based on how you actually live in the house. So you might, have a whatever picked out, I don't know, a kitchen color picked out. And then someone says to you, oh, this kitchen color is not whatever for X reason. It's going to make your kitchen look X, Y, Z. And then somebody else says something else. And then you're round in circles 50 different times and you've been down a million different Pinterest rabbit holes and you've got boards everywhere. And what you haven't done is stopped and said, what do I like? What works for me? Is this going to be easy to clean for me? Is this a color that makes me feel in a certain way? Does this have enough storage built in for where I put my things? Is this, a kitchen for a baker or a kitchen for a person who makes roast dinners every Sunday? So I think being really doing a very honest assessment of your life, what you need. I think like a big one for that, I think, is like guest bedrooms and stuff like that. And people just maybe not using the space that they have because they're like, oh, but if down the line someone wants to stay or somebody comes over or we need to sell the house or whatever, just designing for other people. That's it.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded way of me saying the biggest mistake other people make is designing for other people and some other life that isn't actually you and your life.
Your day to day. If it's not how you use the space, 90% of the time you shouldn't be designing like that.
Exactly. And does that might have to make a few sacrifices? That's fine. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, we can't all afford having just an empty room that has no function 90% of the time. Not in today's climate.
Can stay in a hotel sometimes or a blow-up bed or whatever, you know?
Yeah, mine is an overflow wardrobe space.
Yeah, as it should be, because you need it. It's your house.
Yeah, you need it day to day.
Unless your guests are paying rent there, then. You know.
Yeah, but that was my takeaway from a lot of the professionals. It was like, you know what's coming down the line at you, communicate, and like I loved. Was it who said it? I think it was Ronan, the electrician.
Can't read your mind or something.
He said, the biggest mistake homeowners make is thinking they don't have to be part of that walkthrough, that electrical walkthrough, mechanical walkthrough. And some of those walkthroughs or trades may seem very technical and like they won't affect you, but they do. Like you have to live in the house, like more than the architect does or anything else. So like you should be there for those walkthroughs because you might spot stuff that other people don't. So I thought that was kind of insightful and an interesting perspective. You know, you think having not gone through this a few times that like, oh, they probably don't want me there. I'm just going to be in the way. I'm not technical or I'm not the electrician.
They're just looking for a sign off. I can just tell them yes over email. Do you know?
Exactly. But like the pieces of information you bring are different to everyone else. So it's always worth being there for those major walkthroughs, I think.
And ask questions and be like, why are you putting this there? Where else would that go? And
that's actually another mistake. No? Is that not another mistake? People don't take enough pictures.
Oh, pictures. Take pictures of everything.
Take a million pictures. Before the walls are closed in, before the concrete's poured, you see your underfloor pipes. Take pictures, take videos. You will reference those again. You will do it.
Document everything, have it all written down.
Yeah.
And to go back, someone else said, I think maybe it was Jason in the builder episode, or was it the plumber? I can't remember, but just said, we can't know what's in your head until you tell us. Like we want to get into your head. You know, we want you to tell us what you're thinking. And I think that's good advice. If they don't know, they will assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I hope this season was useful for people. I think it was, because we got a lot of good feedback from people and a lot of questions and follow on and stuff. So I don't know. I think it was one of the more informative seasons for me anyway, but I love this.
I think so. There's always a couple of things in every episode as well that I learned too that I was like, oh yeah, that's actually great advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for all your feedback. And if you have any more, if you thought it was good, if you got tips from it, let us know.
Yeah.
If you'd like us to do more of those, more different.
Or is there another trade or professional services person or people that you'd like to hear from that we didn't have on? We kind of tried to keep it to trades.
Maybe it's professional services, interior designers, architects, mortgage advice, quantity surveyors. Okay, listener, if you think that's a good idea, let us know in the comments.
Or if you're one of those experts, reach out.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, and we will see you after our well-earned break
in August. Have a great summer.
Yeah.
May the weather continue. That's a bad thing to say, isn't it? Maybe we get nice weather. Yeah. How about that?
May it continue. Just minus the hosepipe ban. See you later. Bye. If you enjoyed that episode, likes, shares and subscribes really help us out. So if you can, please do. Thank you.